Welcome back to the River Valley Redneck. Today I'm going to give you some hunting tips for public land hunting. Before I do that, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helped me out and I appreciate it. Alright, number one public land hunting tip. Avoid places that people go. Get off the beaten path. If you're out there hunting and you're going where everybody's going, you're going to have all kinds of people on top of you. And the deer are pretty much used to people being there, so you need to watch out for those areas. You need to get off the beaten path, meaning you don't want to be hunting 30, 40, 50 yards off the road, whatever legal distance is, especially when it becomes deer season, loading seasons open up. You'll have a surge in traffic on the roads from people coming up to camp and people just going out and doing a quick scouting trips and just doing things last minute. And that is going to push the deer further and deeper into the woods so they feel safe and comfortable. So you want to stay away from the short walks in 30, 40, 50 yards in and getting past just legal. You don't want to do that because you might luck into a deer on occasion. It'll happen. But consistently, you will not see deer like you should. And that's because they feel safer deeper in the woods because they feel the traffic around. They see the traffic and they hear the traffic. And when they do that, they're going to start saying, hey, something's different. I need to go deeper. And they do. So you don't want to hunt right off the side of the roads. And people have gotten lazy nowadays, and they're not going to walk any further than they have to in order to hunt. So you want to get off that beaten path and find you a place that's further and deeper in the woods to have more success. And I can promise you find a place that's deeper in the woods, you're going to find more deer sign, you're going to find more deer. And they're going to be a lot better chance in order to take one. I've hunted, a mile or 2 miles in. And it's still hunting. You're not always going to see deer, but I have seen more deer deeper in the woods than I have on the side of the road. So that's the number one tip that I have, and it's number one for a reason. Number two tip is if you've been thinking of a location that you're wanting to look around and hunt, go download some maps off the internet, get some maps that you can look at, preferably something that has topography, where you can see the elevation changes. That way you can see ridges and the valleys and all of that. That'll greatly help you in scouting from the house before you get to the location that you want to look at. And once you get there, you'll kind of have a better understanding, a better idea of where to go to look for the funnels for deer, because deer love the ridge tops and they love the valleys. And they funnel through those, and it'll give you a really good idea of where to start looking. And it's just general good practice to have an idea of where you're at so you don't get lost. And it's real easy to get turned around in the woods. And next tip, number three, I would say get into your stand as early and quietly as possible. I get into my stand sometimes an hour before daylight. And the reason being is I hunt deeper in the woods. It takes me longer to get there. And I take it slow. And I have walked up on deer and bear and all kinds of animals. And as soon as I see eyeballs, I stop. I try to wait the deer out or wait whatever it is out. And I will hopefully let them walk on their own and not spook them. So what would generally be a 30-minute walk-in for me sometimes turns into a 40, 45-minute walk-in. I give myself plenty of time to get my stand just in case I run into an issue like that to where I have to slow down and take longer than normal. And I've walked in on a bear that was in front of me about, probably 30, 40 yards. And he stood up and he let off a roar, and that'll wake you up early in the morning. But he wasn't moving. He wasn't going to do anything. So I walked clear around him. in order to get to my stand that morning. And I just wasn't waiting the bear out that long. He just did not want to move. But you run into occasions like that where you need that extra time to get there, so you're not sitting there trying to get in your stand as daylight's coming up when the best time for deer hunting is. And one of the best times that I have found for deer hunting is between daylight and about 8 o'clock in the morning. Anytime between that and 8 o'clock in the morning, the deer, if they're going to come by, are generally going to come by between those times. You'll have some they'll squeak in there a little after, depending on how close you are to their bedding or their food source. Sometimes they'll come in a little bit later, but I prefer to be there before daylight, and then right at daylight till about 8 o'clock. That's the best time. So if you're gonna go into a hunt, here's another tip. Decide whether it's gonna be an all day or if it's gonna be just a morning hunt. Then you're gonna go back to camp or whatever. And once you get back to camp, you eat, and you wanna go back out for an afternoon hunt. So if you're gonna go back to camp for an afternoon hunt, I usually stay in my stand until close to 10 o'clock. Anything after 10 o'clock and you ain't seen nothing, you're probably not gonna see nothing. You might as well just go ahead and get down and wait, go ahead and get back. Because you're gonna be wanting to get down around 11 or 12, and if you do get down around 11 or 12, you're probably gonna spook whatever you might have seen getting down. So if you haven't seen nothing by 10, if you're not gonna set all day, go ahead and get down. And once you get back out in your stand, I usually try to get out in my stand between 1:30 and about 2. And then I'll stay till dark till I can't see them. After that, I'll walk out. But be prepared to be dedicated to sitting all day, because sometimes it will pay off. If you sit there all day, you'll get lucky and you'll have a big one come through in the mid-afternoon. And that's another thing is when you're hunting public land, they get so much pressure early in the mornings that it really does pay off sometimes to come up around 9 o'clock in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then head to your stand, get set up, and then stay until close to dark. Sometimes those mid-morning hunts pay off really well. I've gone through several of them, and you sit there and I've seen deer just like I haven't seen in a long time in the mornings in these areas that I hunt. And it's because the areas that I hunt usually get a lot of pressure, and usually it's for me. I'll admit it, you can overhunt an area. That's one thing that I have tried to draw back on here lately is I used to hunt the same trees every single year, the same area. And that's because I never see anybody and I've always seen deer. Well, I've noticed the last couple of years the deer levels have dropped off. And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm starting to overhunt the area, and they're starting to know that, hey, there's going to be somebody in here come this time of year when we see all the traffic upticks. And we probably need to avoid that area. So now I'm either hunting a little bit shallower or a little bit deeper, or I'm finding a new area completely. And so far it's paying off. I've seen several deer. I killed a little buck. And that one, I hunted about half the distance in that I did the year before and the year before that. And it paid off. I had a nice little 7-point come walking down the road right to me, and I took him. But yeah, you can easily overhunt an area. They will get used to you, especially if it's the same deer from years before. And it happens. We've had the camera out for several years in a row, and you'll get the pictures of deer, and you can tell it's the same deer from different characteristics on their antlers or different characteristics on their necks or, the patches and stuff of white. You can tell it's the same deer over and over again from year to year. And they were lucky enough to make it through the season before, and they're back. So I know the same deer frequent the area. They're a creature of habit, as you say. And when you're out scouting and you're looking for deer sign, always look for old rubs. on trees. Anywhere that they've rubbed off the tree bark from last year, there's a real good chance they're gonna do it this year on the same tree. If not the same tree, the one next to it. So always look for the same deer sign from last year, and that'll help you out for this year's hunt. That's one thing that I do when I put my cameras up. I'm always looking for deer sign. And some of the places that you hunt, you can actually tell where an old scrape was on some places. And if you can find an old scrape, set up a camera on it. You're probably gonna get some deer scraping on that scrape this year, because they're creatures of habit. They pretty much do the same routine. If they survived last year, they'll be back to the same area next year. So if these tips have helped you any, hit the like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And y'all take care and be safe.